Hi, my name's Michelle, and in 2024 I decided to create a brand new life as I enter into the golden years. I'm creating this video series so you can come along with me because it is never too late and you are never too old to make changes, even if you don't believe it. And yes, it's scary, and yes, there are potholes along the way, but more than that, there have been many, many wonderful, great experiences full of gratitude, and I want you to have the same experiences. Why don't we become late bloomers together? You know what late bloomers are. Those are people who come into their own later in life. And you know what the gardeners believe. The late blooms bloom best. Let's create a life of our dreams together. In this series, we'll talk about different steps and things you can do to make your life fantastic. And we're also going to look at other people who become successful later in life to give us some inspiration. Today, I'm going to start with my grandfather because I recently found out a big surprise about him. But first, let's talk about the fundamental idea that we need to get across. As you are on the inside, that is what you create on the outside. You truly are responsible for your life. I learned this from one of my favorite teachers, Florence Scovall Shinn. She wrote about these books way back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and her belief was that people truly pull the strings of their own life. There are all kinds of forces, many invisible, which we're learning is absolutely true from quantum physics. So as we use our words and our thoughts and our feelings, we create situations on the outside that are much better and more fun than ever before. Now, how does that relate to my granddad? Well, here you go. Just recently, my aunt passed. And when she did, we sold the family home and we were cleaning out the attic. And what did we find but an old book of Florence Scovall Shinn that happened to belong to my granddad. He bought it sometime in the 40s. Here's his story. So my granddad was born before the turn of the 20th century. He was the 8th child born to a prosperous merchant family in southern Indiana. Yet he was small, frail, awkward, and shy. His family saw him as a loser, as a black sheep and someone terrible at business. And for years, he believed it. As he grew up and had a family, he was living in the family homestead. And yet when his 7th child was born, which was my mom, he was kicked out of the family homestead because he simply couldn't take care of it to the standard his other brothers and sisters expected. That meant that he and his family had to start over, and he was the age of 40. They lived in a home that had no running water, no plaster on the walls, and the stove was in the basement. And let me tell you, I've been in that basement only once in my life, and it is super scary. So try to imagine a family of 7 trumping up and down those stairs all day long to eat things or to get things or cook things. During this lean years, he worked in a grocery store, and he fed his family primarily with bringing home fruits and vegetables were too old and too yucky to sell. I always wondered why my mom didn't like bananas, but really, why would you? We all know that overripe bananas are excellent for banana bread and for making smoothies, but would you want to eat one? I don't think so. So here's what happened. He got this book, and sometime around the age of 50, he followed the precepts, changed his thoughts, his words, and his feelings, and he started his first business. It was a furniture business, and it was with one chair in a storefront window, and that's it. He built up that business until there were 5 stores, in fact, a chain of stores called Home Outfitters in southern Indiana. He was successful at what he did, and one golden rule he followed, which is vital, is that he always gave in order to receive. So he made sure to help everyone along the way. People loved Joe because he was kind and quiet, but he was good. When he turned 65, when the rest of us would be retiring, he decided to buy out his brothers and sisters and own the family department store as well. I think to prove his brothers and sisters wrong, and that indeed he was good at business. because he ran that store successfully for 20 years until his unexpected death. I remember visiting him when he was 80 years old, and he ran the show every day from the heart of the department store. We'd go down and visit our granddad, and he'd give us a great big hug and offer to buy us a Coke at the local soda shop. We'd go out heading on the sidewalk, and sure enough, if he didn't beat us every single time, it was like he was racing. The guy was 80, and he was beating out kids 10, 11, 12, 8 years old. It was actually a little irritating, but we loved our granddad. After he passed and we had the funeral, it was not a surprise because it was the biggest funeral the town had ever seen. Everyone showed up to honor Joe Larkin. Why? Because he had a great big heart and his energy was powerful and you could feel it. He used these lessons that we're going to work on from Florence Scovall Shinn. He knew that his word created vibrations. He knew that he had to become the person on the inside in order to be that person on the outside. In these next videos, we'll go over the steps that he followed and we'll practice them as well. And we'll find out what works best to create our life. I look forward to seeing you in these next videos, and I hope that you like and subscribe so you know when they show up. I will be doing 2 videos a week, and I'm excited to go on this journey with you. Have a great, great day.